Brought to you by every damn cheesesteak joint in Philadelphia. This is the Philadelphia Sports Porch with your hosts, the Grand Schwabini and Rube. Come on, Philly. Show us a little Eagles, Phillies, Flyers, and Sixers love. The Philadelphia Sports Porch starts now.
All right, Rube, how are you today?
I am absolutely glorious on this Tuesday, May 12th. I cannot complain. How about yourself, sir?
Well, I can complain. I can complain about something that I never experienced before in my life, which was watching 8 consecutive playoff games where we were mostly demolished.
You know what? I agree. I can complain, and I'm sure throughout the next hour we're going to do a little bit more complaining.
We are.
But you know what? We're still here. We're 6 feet above.
right.
We're not 6 feet below. We get an
That is right.
opportunity as two very old, wonderful friends to talk about our favorite subject together and hopefully entertain some people in the meantime.
That is correct. I mean, I will say this. It's certainly you feel a lot lighter knowing that you don't have a game 3 or a game 4 to watch with no hope. Right?
Yeah. Even after game 2 or 3 of each of the series, I'm like, well, what's the point? It was very, very evident who the better teams were in those series, but I'm sure we'll talk more about it.
We sure will. Now, obviously there are not many highlights to share this week, which we enjoy sharing every week, but I did find something that I think represented Philadelphia very well. And so let me share that with you briefly. Here we go.
Okay.
And that, Rube, was a chant of "Let's go Flyers" after the Flyers lost in overtime game 4. I thought it was a really nice, classy move by the fans to look. None of us thought that the Flyers were even going to get into the playoffs. They exceeded our expectations. They gave us a first-round playoff win against, the hated Pittsburgh Penguins. And look, one thing I will say, kind of unlike the Sixers, they didn't give up. They did take 2 games to overtime. One puck goes in or hits off a skate, and it could have been a much more respectable series, even though the other team was so much better. But Vladar still, I think, overall played pretty well. And look, the other team was just simply better than us, but I thought that they had a really good season. What's your thoughts?
100% agree, and I think they earned that standing ovation after losing in a sweep to a superior team. They got us. I mean, we talked about it all season long. They got us excited to watch hockey again, and it may sound kind of corny, but at the end of the day, when was the last season we were excited about Flyers hockey? So there's a lot, and there's hope. And there's hope going into next year. And there's lots of salary cap space available. And they got a goalie, and we got a coach. And we got and all the years that we talked about, got to bring the young guys up, They get this experience and valuable playoff experience that we go in the next year with hope. Contrary to perhaps the other team we'll talk at length about.
Correct. So I guess, the first question I think we should sort of go over today is, you're Danny Briere, you're the GM. What are your priorities? How are you trying to improve this team in the off season?
Well, I think there's 3 things. Number 1, you got to go get a number 1 center. So I think we've got salary cap. I think we've got a lot of salary cap room this year to go out and get a Jack Eichel Maybe they're talking about this guy from the Blues who scored 60 something points this season.
Is
What
it
was the guy's name?
like Thomas?
Robert
Robert
Thomas. Yeah.
Thomas. Mm-hmm.
So, and they're saying, listen, he's got a contract through 2031. So go out, grab this guy, and you got a
Mm-hmm.
cornerstone up the middle for you, to be that guy in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Eichel's coming up, is about to hit free agency.
Mm-hmm.
Vegas has spent a lot and doesn't have a lot of salary cap space. So I think first and foremost, you got to go get yourself a number one center,
Gotcha.
and hopefully someone that's been around, that is that the young guys can grow around and play with, and he can anchor it. So I think that's number one. I think number two is you got to go out and you got to fortify the blue line. I don't need a bunch of guys that can go and be offensive defensemen. I want guys that are going to be relatively inexpensive, but that are going to be defensemen first instead of
Mm-hmm.
defensemen offensive players. And then I think number three is, my guess is Urson is probably out. You got
Mm-hmm.
to go and get yourself a reliable backup goalie, because
Right.
as good as Vladar was, he's not going to play 80 games. You can't have your goalie playing 80 games a season. So
Right.
you want him
Right.
fresh going into the playoffs. So those would be the big three things that I'd go focus on.
Okay. Well, yeah. My plan is pretty similar. I think look, if we had to, I'm going to say settle for a Rob Thomas as the center we bring in. I'm okay with that, but I'm really looking more for a splash. Like I think this team needs a superstar. And there's two that I can think of that are supposedly available. So you've got Jack Eichel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got Austin Matthews being dangled out there. I actually think that Toronto winning the lottery, and so they're going to take Gavin McKenna, who's sort of been, branded as the next potential good one.
Mm-hmm.
I think that sort of allows them to do a reset. Like let's get younger. Let's unload Austin Matthews for like a good NHL player. And a bunch of maybe 2 first-round picks or something like that, right? And really rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you what, I think we got the perfect guy to give them.
You think give him Tippett?
Travis Konechny.
Konechny. Are you saying that because
Yes.
of how many times he disappointed you this playoff season, or are you
I
saying that truly as a yeah? So is that an
well, it's
emotional or
no,
a
it's a mix of both.
okay?
Yeah, yes, he has disappointed me. But look, in NHL circles and standards, I mean, he's a really good player.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy was picked to play on Team Canada, not this last time, but 2 times ago. So he was a Team Canada guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so Canadians love their Canadians. He's a guy who on a bad team led the team in scoring 5 years in a row. He's a guy who wasn't that far off from being a point per game player, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if you need to get an NHL player in return who the fans are not going to sneeze at, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's like the perfect guy. He's the perfect guy. And I just sort of feel like for us, Konechny is kind of like, we need him to be more than he is, and he would probably just be better on another good team second line. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what I would do. I would go after Austin Matthews. I'd package Konechny, and 2 first-round picks or whatever the hell it would take.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be one thing that I would do. So
Hey,
I like the idea.
real quick. So
Yeah.
Konechny signed an 8-year, $70 million contract extension.
Mm-hmm.
So he's an annual value of 8.75. It runs through 32-33, making him unrestricted in the summer of 2033.
Mm-hmm.
So similar to what we were talking about with this Robert Thomas, is that his
Hmm.
name?
Yeah. I think
Thomas,
it's, yeah.
Robert Thomas, yeah, they would be getting someone that's locked in for a
Right.
while. So I
Right.
understand it. I get it. And
Yeah.
I would agree with you in that he's not a number one option, right? Like if you think
Right.
about him in your starting rotation, maybe he's number 4 or 5 in your starting
Right.
rotation.
Right. Right.
Um, but certainly after watching very closely this year, he's a grinder. He's a hitter. He's like a
Hmm.
Brenda Moore type of player. He's
He
not
is.
someone you go and build your future around. So I think
Right.
actually I would agree with that.
Yeah. Here's my other way of looking at things. Kind of in the same respect. When you say fortify the blue line, I just mean it in a different way than you.
Okay.
There's another guy who is also not re-signed by the Wild named Quinn Hughes, and he is a free agent.
So
So
they rented him this year.
they rented him. They tried to re-sign him, and he didn't re-sign. Now,
Interesting.
some folks think that might mean he wants to play with his brothers in New Jersey.
Hmm.
But look, not everybody's got space for what he's going to command. So, look, I know you're not going to get Austin Matthews and Quinn Hughes, but hey, if Austin Matthews isn't in the cards, I'd go after Quinn Hughes. And like,
Hmm.
I almost see like Quinn Hughes is like, it's like having that pronger on your team. You know what I mean? Like that defenseman,
Just a litle smaller.
right? Yeah, a little smaller, but just somebody who's clearly amongst the top 3 defensemen in the league.
Yeah.
Somebody who can quarterback the power play,
Yes, and I think
right?
that's one. I think that's a great call out. Is that I like the strides Drysdale has made this year.
Hmm.
Actually,
Right.
A, he played the whole season.
Hmm.
Check.
Hmm.
B, he ran the power play. C,
Hmm.
wasn't a very good power play,
Right.
as can be evidenced against the Canes, though great penalty killers as they are. But yeah, I do. I think I was almost wishing I could get Gostis Bear back just to run the power play. Someone like that type of guy who's got
Hmm.
a big shot and is offensively minded.
Yeah. Um. So yeah, and obviously I agree with you. They're going to have to replace Urson.
Mhm.
Um. I think that the key to me is also, I think, I wouldn't give up on Mitchkov. You
No,
know,
no.
now, but I will say this. I don't think it was a good idea to sit him in the last game. It's like you did it once, you kind of served your purpose, right? And I get what Tockett's thinking. He wants players to play a certain way, and if he's not doing that, then he's going to sit, blah, blah, blah. But I just didn't think it was a great look for going into the off season. He's got to be thinking like, like what do they really think of me here? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, Now look, and here's the deal. I mean, yeah, did he have a disappointing year? He did. But let's also realize here, he scored 20 goals and had 51 points as a 21-year-old, and that's like his floor. You know what I mean? Like I think that, I've listened to a lot of NHL guys say that if the Flyers give up on Michkov, they're going to regret it.
Yeah. And
You know.
is there talk that they're giving up on him, or are you just reading the tea leaves from the moves made in the playoffs?
Well, I'm reading the tea leaves, but what a lot of these NHL guys say, I'm sure is true. If you're an NHL GM and you see that the Flyers sat Michkov out of 2 playoff games, then they've got to be salivating. They've got to be thinking, is there more to this? And maybe we can get this guy and have him take off with us.
Yeah,
Right.
could
So
be.
so so basically what these guys are saying is there's going to be teams calling about him.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm
I
not opposed to him going, but only if it's for like, a big time return, like a big time
so it wouldn't be
superstar.
like a McCain return. Um,
No, no.
I would hate to give up on I hope they're not giving up on him unless there's something that you and I don't see. I
Right.
think from the beginning of the season all the way through the last game, a message had to be sent, and this kid
Mm-hmm.
needs to grow up, right?
Mm-hmm.
The whole idea of, man, it took him until the All-Star break to get in hockey shape is unacceptable, right? So
Yeah.
so my hope is that he takes the hard coaching, he gets the message, and that he uses his fire to come back and be the guy we expected him to be last year and didn't see this year.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm hoping. I really hope that they're not thinking of giving up on him, and if so, you better fetch a pretty damn big return, because it's way too early to give up on somebody that young.
Right.
Just
Right.
because of an attitude problem. So go fix your attitude. He's still a young kid. Go figure it out. Surround him with veterans,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe we get something more from him next year, which even makes us even better
Right.
as we head into year two with Tackett.
Right.
I mean, listen,
Right.
he had the same he had the same stuff with what's his name with Torts, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's not like it's a Tackett thing. I think
Right.
it's a, hey, young man, time to grow up and take
Right.
this seriously. And if not, you're going to be embarrassed. You're going to be embarrassed by your play. You're not going to be respected by your teammates, and you're going to sit in the biggest games.
Right.
So
Right.
step up, show us what you got.
Yep. But
That's all I
hey,
have to say. That's all I
but
have to say about that.
hey, if he needs to be in the package for Austin Matthews, goodbye.
It's so listen. I hear the name
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Matthews a lot,
Uh-huh.
and of course, very good player, Team Canada, blah blah
Mm-hmm.
blah. Why is he fallen out of favor in Toronto?
He's not really. It's just that they've had so much talent on the team, and it's kind of like a Sixers Embiid thing. It's like they just can't seem to get past the first round.
Hmm.
I think they've only got past the first round once with him. And, now he's probably in the league, I don't know, 6, 7 years or something. And, he's always like, top 3 to 5 in scoring. He's just a scoring machine.
Okay.
He played for Team USA in the Olympics. But, I think that they just think like they have to blow it up.
Is he a center or is he a winger?
I'm pretty sure he's a center.
Okay.
Look
Well,
that
there.
up, though. Look
All
that
right. I
up.
will. I will. Okay.
Look that up. But like, he's like, he's a superstar.
He's a center.
So, like, yeah, he's a center, he's a superstar. Like, I know he missed some time this year, but like, let's see, how many points did he have last year and the year before? And how
Let's.
many goals?
All right. Let's say Austin Matthews stats. Ba, 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 ba. Hold on 1 second, please. Da, 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 da.
You still got the DSL?
All right, let's see. Okay. So he's been on the Maple Leafs since 16-17.
Hmm.
Scored, all right, in order from the beginning, 40 goals, 34, 37, 47, 41. 21-22, he scored 60, then 40, 69. In 23, 24, 33, 24, 25, 27, 25, 26. So, yeah, he must have been out quite a bit. How many games?
Yeah.
Played 60 games this year. He played 67 2 years ago and 60 this year. So
Hmm.
that makes me a little nervous that perhaps injury prone as well.
Maybe.
Um,
But the guy scored 60 goals one year.
he scored 69 in 23, 24, and he scored 60 in 21, 22.
And how many seasons is he over 100 points?
Let's see. Points. One, two seasons over 100 points.
Hmm. Well, it's certainly better than anybody we have.
Yeah, but that was 3 seasons ago, was the last
Was
time he
it?
was over 100 points. He was
Well,
78, 24,
mhm.
25, and 53 last year.
Well,
So
maybe that's why he's available. Maybe they're saying, we
we've
had
seen
his
the best.
best.
We've
We've
seen the
seen
best
the
of him.
best. We've seen the best. He's getting injured. and maybe all he needs is just a fresh start, you know?
Yeah, could be.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
All
time
right.
will tell. Time will tell.
Okay. So let's now talk about, the other side of the arena. The 76ers really went out with a whimper against the Knicks. It's almost like, look, I'm always going to appreciate the 3-1 comeback against the Celtics because they are the hated Celtics, and it was fun. But after you just get beaten down by the
Hmm.
Knicks, especially with them taking over your own arena, I mean, it makes it seem like that Celtics victory was almost for nothing. I don't know. I mean, like, what's your thoughts on the state of the Sixers? And
Well,
should they fire Daryl Morey and Nick Nurse? As I'm sure those are the conversations that they're having right now.
um, let's just kind of start with some I don't know, observations or just thoughts, right? And everyone who listens to us, and you know how I feel about the Sixers. So, but listen, objectively speaking, the 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 series win over the Celtics and the comeback from 3-1 was the crowning achievement of the process. So that should tell us everything we need to know.
Right.
I think you and I probably both went into the Knicks series thinking they're in a shot in hell, but we also thought that about the Celtics. So
Right.
low expectations and high hopes, and
Right.
you know, they met our low expectations against the Knicks.
Hmm.
So it just so what does the future hold for this team? Uh, I kind of feel like regardless of whoever the GM or whoever the coach is, um, they don't have much to play with. You got two aging, oft injured players in George and Embiid, who you
Hmm.
cannot, no one's going to want those contracts. They were terrible. The extension with Embiid and then the max deal for Paul George, which I think I'm not the only one who thought that was egregiously bad. Um, we're stuck with for at least 2 more years, right?
Hmm.
Those two
Hmm.
guys and Maxi are going to make what $153 million over the next 30 years or
Hmm.
whatever it is a
Right.
season.
Right. Right.
So, so what do you do? I think anyone with half a brain in their head would say, okay, we got to go build around the backcourt. Edgecombe was a great pick
Hmm.
and a nice and he could be on his way to stardom. You never know. One season does
Hmm.
not make an all-star. Maxi is clearly the center stone of the organization. And then you've got like everybody else.
Right.
And so uh, I think you let everybody else go and you start building pieces, with maybe the exception of Oubre to be a two-way wing player. And you draft hopefully someone I think we're picking at 21 that's going
Hmm.
to be, it's got to be a front court player that can get up and down the court with Maxi and MB and Edgecombe.
Hmm.
And I think you just hope for the best that you're going to get something meaningful from Embiid and George because there's no moving them. No one in their right mind would take on their contracts based on their injury history. And
Well,
you just kind of have to hope. You kind of just have to hope that we find another diamond out there like Edgecombe. And you know what? It's it's gravy if you get something from Embiid or George. I
hmm.
really do. I think they're stuck. Their salary cap is in a horrible position, um, and they're stuck with these two players. So what do you do? So that's my answer to the first question. We can talk about do you fire Nurse or Maury next, but I kind of want your thoughts.
Well, these are my thoughts. My thoughts are a good GM can work miracles. Okay. And there's a way out here. And we just need somebody, I think, better than Daryl Morey to figure the way out. Now, the way the NBA works, and the reason why it is hard to make a trade with guys like George and Embiid is because you have to pretty much take the same salary coming back. Okay. But look, it's doable. There are other guys in this league who also have, 2 more years and a lot of money left, who are no good anymore. So essentially, it's like you trade an expiring contract that you trade Embiid, who expires in 3 years, and you get somebody back who's expiring in, like, 1 year or 2 years, and Embiid is obviously 10 times better than that person. That person's just basically gonna rot for you, and Embiid could help potentially, a playoff team from this year that might need just a little something extra. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I think it's doable. I mean, look, I know it's not the same sport, but just think about, Howie Roseman was able to get a first round pick for Carson Wentz. You know what I mean? Um, you know, actually, when the fact that what was it, Daryl? Was it Daryl Morey who actually traded Ben Simmons for James Harden?
Probably because
I
he
think
loves
so,
James
right?
Harden, so that
Right,
wouldn't be a
right,
stretch.
right. So I mean, like, things can be done. It's going to be painful because the bottom line is, with Embiid off the team, we're going to be worse. There's no doubt about it. But it allows you to, have an open mind to a future that's based around Maxey and Edgecombe, and isn't slowing us down playing a half court game with a guy who's only going to play half the games. Right.
If that. So yeah,
Right.
so you to your point, like I like the direction you're going. And
Hmm.
as I thought about tonight's show, I was just kind of thinking, we just need to make a decision
Hmm.
with our identity and go with it. Right?
Hmm.
It can't be it can't be when Embiid's back, play this way, and when he's not there, play that way. So and it can't be playing Maxi 38 minutes a night either.
Right. Right.
So I kind of think like we just need to pick a freaking identity and we need to go and we're going to have to suffer through it until we reach whatever that vision is. Now, to your point about Maury, listen, I I, I think Maury has made some good moves. And I think he made the moves he had to make when he did it. I don't know if he needed to extend Embiid, uh, but his draft picks were good. Maxey was a good pick.
Although, does it
Edgecombe was a good pick. McCain was a good pick.
is it negated though because he traded McCain?
Yeah, notwithstanding,
I
I
mean that.
suppose.
I mean,
But
see, to me, that's where he lost me. To me, the future of this team was Maxey, Edgecombe, and McCain, and he got rid of McCain either A, to get under the luxury tax,
mhm.
or B, they misread it and didn't realize that he was as good as he is. And
Or C, they wanted to get a first round pick this year, which that got them.
right, but the bottom line is, like, I mean, look, like, unless you're putting Giannis on the team next year, I mean, like, what's that going to get us, right? I mean,
Yeah.
basically, McCain was picked around where we're picking this year. Like, he was like around 21, and this is like 22 or something, and that's where he really lost me because look, in especially in the series against the Knicks, where they had so much depth and we have no depth.
Zero.
We basically traded our one depth piece. We
Yeah.
traded the one guy who could come off the bench and score.
Yeah.
I mean, it made no sense. And to me, I can't really put my faith. I can't put my faith in him. Um, simply because he picked Maxey and he picked VJ Edgecombe. Um, because the trades haven't been great. And then here's the other thing too. The other thing too is, by the way, there is also a guy named Isaiah Joe who plays a depth role for Oklahoma City, who
Yeah.
we had.
Yeah.
Now, actually, I don't. Do you remember this? Do you remember? It was never anything that we talked about on the show. But I had sent you a video through text a while ago, maybe like a year and a half ago, of this guy named Champagne.
Yeah.
He's a freaking starter for the Spurs, averaging 11 points per game.
Yeah, he's the guy. He went to St. John's or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
had him. He's gone. You know,
Yeah.
we had all these guys, and we weren't able to understand where they could fit in to help a basketball team. Now,
Well,
is that it?
or we didn't want to pay him to keep him around, and we figured all you need is the big three and
Right,
anybody, and we should be fine. And that's where the strategy failed. Now, listen,
right,
I think at the end of the day, and I've told you this, I would blow the whole thing up. Obviously you don't want to lose Maxi and Edgecombe, but everything else to
right.
me is fair game.
Yeah.
Um, and I would much rather just kind of start from scratch and go build around an identity and get the right players in here. Now, that
Mhm,
means getting rid of Maury. So be it. See you later. Go get someone that has no attachment to the Embiid contract, no
mhm,
attachment to the Paul George move, and go build an identity. Now, so I would say
mhm.
goodbye, Daryl Morey. Um, Nick Nurse, I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair to keep firing coaches when their hands are tied behind their back, right? So,
Yeah, I don't either, but there is sort of the, don't we need a fresh start, a fresh look, like I feel like, like it's already ingrained in the team, Nick Nurse like staring at the ceiling thinking, "Oh my God, what the hell's happening?" You know what I mean? Now, I will say this though, one thing I did learn this past week, which I didn't know about before. Apparently, Maxie really likes Nick Nurse.
well,
So,
that's you raise a great point. You raise a great point, Schwabi, in that
mhm,
there's no guarantee that I don't know when Maxi's contract runs out, but there's
mhm,
no guarantee that he wants to stick around and live through this another regime or another
right.
however many years of being the face of the Sixers, if we show no signs of being able to go build a champion around here.
Mhm,
And so I don't know when his contract is up, but I get nervous that he's going to be like, you know what, guys, it's been great, it's been cool, but I'm going to go play with a winning organization.
yeah.
Right.
I'm
I'm going to go be a
yeah.
Spur because they know how to go build champions,
Right, right.
regardless. So I'm going to go
Play with
wherever.
Wendy. Right.
Yeah.
But I think we do have him locked up for a while. But he's on a max deal, so it's probably like 5 years. It probably started last year. He's probably
Okay.
got another 4 years. So I don't think we have to worry about him yet. But yeah, I mean, I look, I think we do better. I mean, like I think Maxi and Edgecombe, I'll just throw him in there. I think
Hmm.
they have a more positive view of the future if we're worse next year without Embiid and George, because maybe we draft somebody who turns out to be fairly decent, and then they know we've got other draft picks coming up, and now salaries coming off the books, and we can sign a free agent. Maybe the GM's good and can make a good trade. I think they would take a step back for a year and not be a playoff team to be able to feel like we could get to a champion contention level within the next like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
That's what I
Well,
think.
I hope you're right. Yeah. So he's in the second year of a 5-year, 203 million max rookie scale extension he signed in 2024, July of 2024.
Hmm.
So it keeps him here through 28, 29, which
Hmm.
isn't, that's only a couple more years.
True.
So, so
Although the thing about these contracts though is it probably also means like in 2027 he's eligible for like another 50 million added on to that or something. They always are doing that. You know what I mean?
yeah, it could, excuse me, it could be. I just, I just see no hope for this team. I think you see light and I just see dark, just
Hmm.
based on some of the decisions were made. And listen, I'll have low expectations but high hopes for the
Hmm.
Sixers as we go into the next couple of years, and you know maybe we finally get lucky and things go our way. So we'll see.
So wrapping up on the Sixers here, you're Joshua Harris. Do you fire Daryl Morey? Do you fire Nick Nurse? Yes or no?
I think you fire Morey. I don't think you fire Nurse. I think Nurse gets a benefit of the doubt of winning a playoff series, coming back from 3-1 with half his team the whole year.
Right.
And go surround him with some decent players. And if Maxey likes him,
yeah. And never knowing who your starting five is.
And if Maxey loves him, that's right. All right.
Yeah.
So if we can find a way around, if we can find a GM that can find our way around and out of this Embiid / George, those catastrophic contracts, that would be wonderful. And I think we need somebody else to try and go do that.
All right.
So yeah, that's my choice. What's your choice? You say fire them both?
I say fire them both, but definitely Daryl Morey. I can live with Nick Nurse.
Yeah. You know what? You look at Josh Harris's teams. His teams stink.
They do stink. And the worst part of it too is, one of his teams stinks, the Commanders, but he actually cares about that team. I don't feel like he even cares about the Sixers.
Yeah. Does he also own the Devils?
Yeah, he does. He owns the Devils too. Yeah.
It just, we've been spoiled with what we get across the street with the Eagles and to a certain extent with the Phillies.
Yeah.
And it's a real hard compare to look at, Laurie and Howie and the success of our coaches and the sustained success over decades, and just looking at such futility on the other side of the street with both of our teams, quite frankly.
Yeah.
But at least the Flyers did a clean sweep.
Yeah, they look like they're coming out of it.
They look like they're coming out of it. But with the Sixers, I see no light.
Yeah.
Little bit of glimmer with the backcourt. But anyway, we move on. Let's not talk about the Sixers until we have to again.
Quick note. We want to thank you for listening and watching. If you are not on X and you want to watch on X, it's at Philly Porch. Make sure to follow us there. If you are not on YouTube and you want to watch on YouTube, it's at Philadelphia Sports Porch. Remember to smash that subscribe button for us. We put this all into a podcast after the show. It goes directly to Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere where you get your podcasts. So again, we thank you. Now, Rube, I have something positive to talk about, and quite honest, I am stunned by this.
Okay.
Brandon Marsh leads Major League Baseball with a .353 batting average. Are you stunned by this as well?
Why shouldn't we be stunned by this? I'm as stunned by that as I'm stunned by freaking Bohm, playing like an all-star the other night.
Yeah, and by the way, did you know too? Like they did some stats, so going back like a full baseball year. What are Marsh's numbers?
Mm-hmm.
So because we had a good second half last year.
Yeah.
So an entire full season between first half last year and up to this year, .317 batting average, 28 doubles, 14 home runs.
It's respectable. It's very respectable.
Pretty good. It's pretty good. So I don't know how exactly he learned to hit. Maybe it's Don Mattingly. I don't know.
It's a baseball. Baseball. It's a sport that you fail more than you succeed, and I'm almost wary of saying anything about him leading the the National League or the majors in hitting. I would give up 50 points of that average to get anybody else on the team to start hitting.
Mm-hmm.
Although Stott looks like he's come out of it a little bit, and as a matter of fact, he just doubled to put the Phils ahead 2-0.
Oh, I like it.
Against the Sox in the second.
Nice.
So he's starting to hit, and we'll see if Bohm's night the other night was a one hit wonder.
And also to note, now that means that Schwarber, who homered in the first inning, is now leading all of the majors in home runs at 17, with Aaron Judge at 16, assuming Aaron Judge hasn't homered tonight.
There you go. All right.
So
that will buy you a 19-22 record, and hopefully
yeah,
we learn how to pitch sometime soon.
yeah. Well, now look, so the big question here is, Phillies are playing much better with Mattingly. They're 10-3 with Mattingly.
Mhm.
Um, uh, what do you think? Do you think that this will continue? Is this going to be a team that finds itself out of, like this, going, 3 under 500, 3 above 500, 500, 3 under, 3 over? Or do you see that this team could get to a place where it turns something on and maybe they get to, like, being consistently 10 games over 500 and making a real playoff push? Where do you see this kind of ending up?
Well, none of the players changed. So to me, it comes down to it's kind of like the beginning days with a new partner, a new girlfriend, a new, well, you're gaga and everyone's great and we're winning and so on and so forth.
Hmm.
It doesn't necessarily um, change the long-term effect on the team. Although, frankly speaking, it happened with Topper when he took over after a disastrous start with Girardi.
Right. Right.
Um, it's so hard to tell, Schwabi. I don't
Hmm.
know. It's none of the players change, and the players ultimately are the ones that win the game. So
Hmm.
if they needed the change and needed the new voice, rock on. It's not a movie we haven't seen before, so there is hope.
Hmm.
But I'll tell you what, if it's not Wheeler on the mound or Sanchez on the mound, it's a crapshoot, right? Painter's been
Hmm.
disappointing.
Hmm.
Luzardo's been mostly disappointing. Um, we had to get rid of one of our other starters, and Taiwan Walker's finally off the team. So that's
Hmm.
addition by subtraction. You get Duran back, that'll be good. But we got to pitch better, and damn it, we got to hit. There's nobody's hitting for average, right? I'm
Right.
glad it.
Right.
So,
Although
and
I just want to update you, Brandon Marsh is 1 for 2 tonight. He has raised his average from 353 to 356.
he did score a run on this dot double. So there we
That's
go.
right. That's right.
So so the good news is that we're in May,
Hmm.
and there's plenty of season to figure it out. The other good news,
Hmm.
we're in second place in the
Right.
East. We're
Right.
tied with three other terrible teams that are 19 and 22. But listen, is it better? It's better to be 10-3 and than 3-10. So there's always hope. What this will look like as the season goes on is anybody's best guess. I don't have reason to believe that we're going to win the World Series, or even make the playoffs. And frankly, at this point, I'd be ecstatic if we can get back to 500, and let's continue to assess as we go through the year.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, look, I think that the Phillies, the Phillies, obviously, I think just the message with Topper was stale, and I
Mhm.
think his lack of energy kind of, was being exuded by the team on the field. So look, it's the manager switch has worked thus far.
Mhm.
And look, I hope that they continue to play, some pretty good 600, baseball. And for me, it's just like I'd like to see them, between 5 and 10 games over 500 by the All-Star break. I think if they do that, then they're in a position to make a run. And ultimately, look, I mean, um, look, it's on Dombrowski. I mean, I really think that Dombrowski is more to blame than Topper was, because he's basically picking the players. He's putting the product out there on the field. He basically said, "Yeah, we're going to run it back again with all these old guys, right?"
Mhm.
So look, it's up to him to make, a move at the trade deadline that can really launch the offense. Like, look, I mean, do I think that Stott, he's turned it on? Do I think he'll put up some better numbers the rest of the year? Probably. You know, um, is Marsh going to continue to hit 353? No, but he might hit 300, which would be really good for him, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So look, I mean, there's going to be some success here, but I look, we need to go out and we need to get a star. Like I know that this didn't lead to like a World Series or anything, but it's like, like whoever the Eugenio Suarez is this year, right? Like
Yeah.
we got to go out and get that guy. We got to get some guy who can play third base and hits a lot of home runs and is right-handed, or something like
and,
that,
and
right?
they are growing on trees.
Right. Hey, they're out there, man. Somebody's going to get somebody
You
really
gotta
good.
you gotta pay these guys too, though, right? And it just kind of feels like we've spent all of our money. Um, and we're going to keep throwing money at the best free. Listen, they went out and got the guy we wanted last year in Durant, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um,
But
who's that hitter?
but it's asking a lot to say you're going to win with pitching in the playoffs. I mean, the bottom line is pitching does win in the playoffs, but also hitting wins in the playoffs. You
You
know,
got to score.
it,
You got to score at least a couple runs.
you do well because the reality is that everybody's pitching is good in the playoffs, right?
Mhm.
So you're going to get a lot of low scoring games, but somebody's going to hit. And I'll tell you who's hit in the last couple years is the Dodgers. And
Mhm.
yeah, the Dodgers do give out more money than everybody else.
They do.
So like, look, hey, look, if you're Middleton, I do appreciate the fact that he's one of the better owners in baseball. And I do appreciate the fact that we've got a top 5 payroll. But you know what? If you want your damn trophy back, as you say,
Yeah.
well, you better start wrapping a few more cigars. Okay? Because you need to make some sales so that we can get a hitter in here.
Is he a cigar sale? Is he a cigar salesman?
Yeah, that's his how he made his fortune in cigars.
Really?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
He's a tobacco guy. No, I didn't know
Yeah,
that. That's very interesting.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
All right. Go spend the money, cigar guy.
yeah, exactly. Come on, look, you put tobacco into people's health. I mean, you can't be that caring a guy.
Well, we shall see. We shall see. The other option is play Edmundo Sosa more.
Hmm. Hmm.
He always
Yeah,
seems to hit 258, 258 and 62 at bats.
he
It's
always seems to get
respectable.
he always seems to get clutch hits.
11
Like
strikeouts. Yeah, man. He steals bases.
it's like
I,
it's like you're down 5-3. You've got the bases loaded and 2 outs in the ninth. He's going to get you a single to tie it up 5-5.
yeah, I love that guy. I don't
Yeah.
know why he doesn't get more playing time, to be honest with you.
Yep. Now I mean, the only thing going on with the Eagles right now is just basically waiting for AJ Brown to be traded. Um, I guess we all assume that's going to happen. The only thing that um, makes me wonder a smidge is what if Mike Vrabel does eventually get let go? Does that change things at all? Um, that's the only thing I wonder about.
Vrabel's
I
not
don't.
getting let go. They're not
I
letting Vrabel go.
I wouldn't think so, especially with all the bad stuff that Kraft's been accused of.
Yeah,
He'd
exactly.
be an absolute hypocrite.
Yeah.
What Kraft did is worse probably than what Vrabel did. Well, actually, you know what? Maybe I take that back.
Neither one are good. Has he admitted
Yeah.
it? Has he admitted the affair?
I don't know, but
Yeah.
have you seen the other pictures now where like he's kissing her like on
Oh
the boat?
God.
Yeah, I mean
Come on.
it's
Come
pretty
on,
clear.
bro. Come on, bro. Hey, I couldn't name the other starter. So Sanchez, Luzardo, I forgot all about Nola, but you know,
Nola,
Nola, Painter, Tim Meza, and
Tim
Zach.
Meza.
Did he
Tim,
start last night?
no,
He pitched last night or two
he
nights
will
ago.
he will often pitch in like a bullpen game if they're doing one of those.
Okay.
You know.
And then Wheeler's back, man. So
Hmm.
he looks good. So we'll see. Yeah, listen, getting Wheeler back is big. That's a big deal.
What
The bats start.
what does Frank James Dorenzo mean when he says 0-0 no problem?
I'm not sure.
Frank, what do you mean? What are you talking about? I'd like to know. We always encourage people to post comments because we'd love it to be interactive, and we'd love to answer your questions or give us a perspective on your point of view.
Absolutely.
But I just don't know, Frank. I hope you're still with us and you can tell us what you mean. Well, with that being said,
Maybe he means low scoring playoff games.
yeah, maybe that's what he means. So anyway, Rube, we now come to the point of the show. It is your wife's favorite point of the show. Although I haven't heard from the Lemmer this evening. Is she not tuned
She's
in tonight?
she's not tuned in this evening. She
Oh
is
wow.
otherwise occupied with
Oh,
a friend.
so she's going to be listening on the podcast.
She will be listening to the podcast.
Okay,
Yes.
all right, sounds good. So for those of you who don't know, this is the time of the show where we give back to you, our loyal audience and our loyal listeners. We try to give you something to do with your time. Because let's face it, there's no Sixers, there's no Flyers. Essentially, there's no Eagles right now. It's pretty much Phillies baseball. And what are you going to do when they're not playing? Or maybe you're just bored and you don't want to watch game, 73 out of 162. And you want to watch something else. So we all know there's so many things to choose from. There's Netflix, there's Hulu, there's HBO Max, there's Apple TV Plus, there's Paramount, there's Peacock. I mean, it just goes on and on. You could be looking forever, going trailer after trailer. You end up spending 45 minutes and you didn't watch anything. Then the flip side of that is, you decide you're going to watch something and then you watch it and you're like, oh my God, I wasted an hour. This was horrible. And then you don't even watch the second episode. So we solve that problem for you.
We're
We
problem
tell
solvers.
you,
We
yeah,
are problem solvers.
we're problem solvers. We basically tell you, we watch the shows for you. We watch them through the end. And we tell you 2 thumbs up. If it is worth it, it's a no doubt about it lock. You just say the guys from Sports Porch told me. Or we'll give you 2 thumbs down. And that basically means, hey, look, if you watch it, it's your fault. Okay.
By the way, I had
Yeah.
one of those this last week.
Did
I
you?
got to go find the name of it as you continue to explain our process here.
It wasn't
keep
something
going.
that I recommended, was it?
No, it was not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Then you got a thumb up, thumb down, and that kind of means like, hey, maybe if you like sci-fi, you'll like this, but if you don't, you might not. That's where those kind of thumbs up, thumbs down come in. But anyway, what we decided to do was several weeks ago, we came up with our top 10 best series of all time. And the caveat to it was we're not counting comedies, so no sitcoms, no 30-minute shows, because we realized that could be a category unto itself. So basically, these are dramas, thrillers, things like that. Has to be at least 3 seasons because we want to give you something to watch that you can watch for a while. That's the other thing. It's sometimes it's great when you see a show and you love it, and it's like, oh, it's 8 episodes, it's over already. So anyway, we are now up to number 4, the number 4 greatest show of all time. We'll start with me this week. My number 4 of all time is Ozark.
Ozark's a good one. Ozark is
Yeah.
a good one.
And-
Hey, and Granshaw Beanie, while you explain
Yes,
this, I do need
yes.
to step away for 1 second. I'll be right
Okay,
back.
that is no problem.
Okay.
So for those of you who haven't seen Ozark, I don't really know what's wrong with you. You probably should have seen Ozark. As you know, it's got Justin Bateman. It's got, I think Lara Linney is her name, and I forget the name of the kind of like troubled youngster, but she's phenomenal in this show. It really kind of made her career, and it's a great show. I mean, it's basically about a family that's the husband and wife are having marital problems. The husband is kind of stuck in a job that gives him no fulfillment, and somehow he kind of winds his way into working for the cartel. and he wants to get out of it because it's scary and because his life is in jeopardy. He also kind of wants to stay in it because he kind of likes it. It's a little bit of sort of similar to Walter White in Breaking Bad. But Ozark is certainly worth every minute of it. It's fantastic. Now, Rube, you had to have watched Ozark, right?
I am a big fan of Ozark. There's a possibility that may end up on Rube's top 10 list somewhere.
Ooh, interesting.
Mhm.
Okay. So
Yes.
yeah, I basically told her, I mean, if you haven't watched Ozark, we do have to sort of wonder what's going on there.
Yeah. Yeah. What's wrong
Um,
with you?
yeah, I mean,
Take a look in the mirror.
yeah, because this was one that everybody was saying, you have to watch Ozark, right? Remember,
It inspires me to even want to go to the Ozarks. I've never been. It's not that far
yeah,
from Texas, so
yeah.
I just
Now,
gotta figure it out.
what was the name of the girl? Not Laura Linney, but the other one who like became a big star on this show. Do you remember what her name was?
Oh yeah, the crazy one, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
This was I had a little impression of her. I don't give a shit about fuck.
is it Julia Garner? Is that her name?
It's something close to that, but it's
Yeah,
something
yeah,
close to that. Yeah.
yeah.
But
Julia
but
Garner. That's exactly it. That's her.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it was a great show. Highly recommend it. 2 thumbs up from the Grand Schwalbini. We are now going over to Rube, and if you haven't figured out by now, Rube loves mainstream TV.
I like the networks, baby.
He likes the networks. He grew up on channel 3, 6, and 10 in Philadelphia, and he is not leaving anytime soon.
Do you remember the UHF channels, 29 and 17?
And 48, right?
Oh,
48.
48. That's right.
Yep,
Oh,
yep, yep,
yes. That's right.
yep.
Old school.
And here we go, Ruby. And I got to be honest with you, I've never seen this. I've never seen it. I don't know why, but I haven't. So number 4 on Rube's list is The West Wing. So take it away, Rube.
Uh, so just look at the picture first and foremost. Look at the cast, right?
Yeah,
You got Martin Sheen, you got
right.
Rob Lowe, you've got
Mhm,
Adam Schiff at the end, Allison Janney.
mhm.
Go on down the line.
It's a great
Um,
cast. Yeah, great cast.
it was a terrific cast, and the Rubenstein family. So Leslie and I don't know about the kids. We love Aaron Sorkin shows. We think it's so intelligently written. The banter is awesome, and this show won like 20 something Emmys. I
Yeah.
don't know how you never saw it, but
I don't know,
uh,
it's weird. I think maybe at the time in my life when it was going on, I just like wasn't really into like watching politics stuff.
yeah.
Um, but I am now though. Like I really like The Diplomat on Netflix,
Oh,
so
Schwabi, this show is fabulous, man. You
yeah.
really feel like you are in the inner circle of a president and his staff, and you never really understand what's going on behind the scenes and how this stuff comes to pass.
Mhm.
But it's a brilliant show. It's beautifully written. It's well acted. Uh,
Where can you
uh,
watch it? Where can you watch it?
I
Is it on
think
Netflix?
let me see where you can see. Where is the West Wing streaming? Let's see. Netflix.
Okay, yeah. That makes it easy.
Yeah, check it. I don't know how I just lost that page. Um,
It's a lot of seasons, isn't it? Is it like 10 seasons or something?
I don't think so. I think it went
Oh no?
99 to 2006.
Okay.
99 to 6, something like that. Where is it? I have it here somewhere. The West Wing went from 99 to 2006. So 7 years.
Mhm.
Um, so it was 7 seasons. It was 2 presidencies. So essentially Martin Sheen plays the president, Josiah Bartlett.
Mhm.
He's Democrat, um, economist by trade. They say they kind of made him as a combination of Carter, JFK, and Clinton.
Mhm.
Very well read, and it was just really fascinating. If you do like political dramas and you like The Diplomat, I'm telling you, Shabby, you will not be disappointed in this show.
Okay.
If Lemmer was watching, she would say far and away no doubt about it. It would be her number one on her list
Really?
without fail. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
So go check it out. It's a great show. Great actors. Like I said, Sorkin's an awesome writer. It won 26 Primetime Emmy Awards, including 4 consecutive wins for Outstanding Drama.
Wow.
So it's got all the accolades, and there's other stars that kind of come into the show throughout the different seasons. And it's absolutely worth a watch. As a matter of fact, I've been meaning to go back and watch it again, but every time I do, I'm like, well, I want to watch something new that the Grand Schwabini told me about, so I don't go back and watch it.
I gotta be honest with you. I'm not a rewatcher.
Yeah, I'm not really either. A movie,
know,
yes. A series, I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, no, like a movie, it's like if I, Shawshank Redemption comes on, it's kind of hard to turn it off, right?
Yes, agree.
But like I don't like I can't watch, like I'm not gonna like rewatch Ozark. Like I know what happened.
Yeah. But it's been so long since I watched The
Yeah.
West Wing, and maybe with an older person, like a perspective of someone who's older now, it might be more poignant or more meaningful. But I'm telling you, man, you need to start it. You start
All
it,
right.
watch the first few episodes, see what you think. You wouldn't disappoint me if you said, Rube, I'm just not into it. You'd disappoint Lemmer, but you wouldn't disappoint me.
Amy says, sounds like a good one. We will have to hit it up.
Hit it up. Hit it up,
Yep.
Amy May. You'll like it.
All right. And that wraps our show for the evening. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate you.
Yes.
And, one thing we always like to do here is we always like to leave as champions. And so I leave you with this.